just phone me up. I'm more than likely to say send me an email. So you know, and then when you do introduce the company, have everything in behind it ready. So have the backgrounders, or you know, web pages, or anything you want to point me to at that point. And then have some understanding of why that company might be relevant to what I do. Okay, well I tend to break that down into a couple of different areas. One is for us, we've had a sort of networks focus, so you look at the challenge that mobile operators have got in meeting demand for data services, how they can get more out of the existing spectrum and assets that they've got. So there's a networks piece which is about improving the quality of their networks, getting more spectrum, putting in maybe small cells, these kind of coverage and capacity-based solutions to meet the demand that's happening. But of course there's a sort of bigger game around that, which is profitability of mobile networks and how their revenue mix is changing, with voice and SMS revenues decreasing, all of this well-known stuff, but that's absolutely key to the industry at the moment. Well, first off, they're absolutely critical to me. You know, they done well, bring things to my attention that I wouldn't be aware of, whether that's through the press release or the phone call. They give me access to people I need to speak to, if that's the route, or if they can talk me through a story themselves. Perfect. I guess the important things to have is if you're pitching in a story, make sure that you've got the backup you need to that story at that point. I know it's difficult with clients, might not always be available or whatever, but you know I guess that's your job, to feedback to the clients. You know, once we're ready to go on this, we need to be ready to go. There's nothing more frustrating than a story being pitched in and then a spokesperson not being available, or further resources not being available at that point. I'm kind of surveyed out, I've got to be honest with you. Obviously we use them sometimes. Generally I would say send me all the results straight off. Don't send me, you know, your headline interpretations of it. I understand why you're doing that, but that might not be what I'm interested in. So if you have done a survey and it does have some kind of statistical relevance, you know, then just send me that and let me pick the bones out of that. But I think that in general there is probably a reasonably healthy suspicion around commissioned surveys. My client has commissioned this survey, albeit it might be YouGov or somebody deeply independent. Not many survey results come back with a contrary finding to what the client would have wanted to have out of that survey, so we suggest that the consumer demand is exactly for what our client is providing. I think you know what I'm saying. I think you should be sending press releases out to people, but obviously to the right people and well structured. All of that good practice in writing them, you know, what is it that this release is telling you, what do you need to know from this story, why is it of interest? It doesn't need to be long, clear follow-ups is great, you know, this is where you go for more information, perfect. So I don't think you need to spend days and hours, I mean you will, but I don't think you need to, you know, crafting this huge, long thing. I think, yeah, Mobile World Congress needs to be lifted out and separated from the rest of what we do. I think everyone has such different priorities for that show, it's hard to generalise. I find it an incredibly useful show, I actually love Mobile World Congress, it goes on for too long, but I do a lot of interviews through the show, so I don't mind that. It generally gives me the chance to meet people I wouldn't normally meet. That's kind of one rule of thumb for me. So quite good for, say, the non-UK companies, or at least someone who's very rarely available. But yes, obviously it's a complete bun fight, and there are millions of agendas and different stories that you could be putting out there. I think from your client's point of view, they've got to be really realistic about what they can achieve from that show. They tend to put so much marketing budget into it that they want to see the same PR output out of it, and I don't think it works like that for them.